everybody. It is Friday, and even though it says testy, I don't know, maybe we'll get into just a couple of lines, and yeah, we'll see what comes up. Coming right up. Hi, guys, and welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on your Friday. It is. So, thanks for making it back. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll see what comes up. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for choosing Black Spring on your Friday. And we'll do our regular order of business, and I'll be right back. We'll see what we have time for. Right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And again, it is Friday, and thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you so much to Old School Wolf Media for coming in. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you guys could, check out the like button, or if you dare to share these things out, that's always helpful around here. And but I cannot forget, I have to do a little bit of a Twitch on a roll, but I will be right back. Of course, who would I be without the lag? But hello to Tyrant's Bane TDOA. And of course, this one is, I have a little bit of a graphic from yesterday. But, people are still hiring today. So, no harm, no foul there, right? Not a total dishonest post there, but I'm sure it's still up. So you may find one in your area. However, I have a couple of things. It looks like it kind of pertains to some of the curriculums that are changing in the schools. I guess I'm referring to, I guess, that maybe the sex education. This is a sex education change that I'm referring to. So we'll get into that. We actually have a parent. I have some video clips for you as it pertains to that, along with it looks like we have a little bit of, according to the freebeacon.com, that the Muslim Brotherhood praises Dems for abandoning Israel in the time of war. So I'll get into that just a little bit. But, we're not short on things going on, as always. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first one. And that's coming off of Blaze TV. I've kind of grown to be a little bit of a fan of the Blaze TV and some of the programs there. But yes, I'm going to give you full screen on this, and I will come back to the screen myself. Um, yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, because I mean, I've been kind of off screen for a few nights, but then today's not that much better. But yeah, so I'm going to give you full screen on this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And also, if you're not on Twitch, let us know if we can do anything to help you out, help you get over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so we're going to go with this one, and this one's coming off of the Blaze. Dare I call it? It's not quite the Blaze Network, but this is from Blaze Media /news. Watch angry Virginia moms line up to read pornographic excerpts from books assigned to ninth graders. Now, I was actually stunned that it wasn't more of the elementary curriculum, but we'll see. We actually have the clip here, and I think it's coming out of the source on that. It's going to be out of Twitter, so we'll have that. All right. So first up, this is looks like the pen name here is Breck Dumas. And according to this, the parents want Loudoun, I'm not sure if it's Loudoun or Loudoun County school board members recalled. A group of furious parents lined up before Virginia's Loudoun County School Board this week to read several, quote, pornographic passages from books assigned to ninth graders in the district amid a recall effort against several of the board's members. Okay. What are the details? In a clip from Tuesday night's meeting provided by Media Research Center, the first mom reads from a book describing a domestic violence scenario where the narrator talks about a female, quote, coming out of some car in these tight, splat, splat little shorts, telling me she's going to leave me, end quote. Quote, I grab her by the neck and start punching her, end quote. The mother continues to read. Later, the narrator describes keeping the female, quote, in a closet for a couple of days, end quote, where, quote, she kept on screaming, begging to let me out, begging to be let out, begging for water, end quote. The rest of the excerpts were sexual in nature. Quote, Jasper wasn't even my boyfriend, just this dude I did some hacking with once in a while, end quote. The second mother reads, quote, he was pretty basic, but he had a big splat. You guys can fill in the blanks. I don't think we have any kids watching or listening to this. And sometimes a girl just needs a big splat, end quote. So, I don't know what happened to the ninth grade reading list. I don't know what's on your kids' reading list. I don't know if I remember these books. However, a third parent read about sex acts involving a, quote, boy, his pants around his ankles, squeezed between April's straddled legs as she lay on top of a teacher's desk, end quote. The narrator describes flipping the, quote, boy, end quote, around, quote, pushing him against the wall, end quote, and then dropping to their knees. The fourth mother reads an excerpt where the narrator declares, quote, she blank. You know what? I'm not going to read any more of this. I'm probably going to just play it and let them do the splats. Because that's, instead of saying beep beep, I usually say splats. Let me just see who's around here. It's Awesome Alice. How are you, Awesome Alice? Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Let me just plug this here. I'm gonna do a couple of comments before we get to the video, because I'm not sure what she's gonna. I'm not sure if she's gonna be explicit, or if she's just gonna give you the clean version of this. Okay. Awesome Alice says, "Oh, I'm homeschooled. They lost their minds. OMG." And she says, "I would sue them for presenting sexual material to a minor and have them arrested." It's, hey, Alex Bleeping Jones, how are you? Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to just go ahead and skip to the video, to the audio on this, because I'm not good at doing splat except on the computer. So yeah, let's just do that. A little bit less, a little bit fewer landmines for me, but I'm giving you my advisory here on this one. So we're on to the fourth mother, and it's getting into, getting into some adult activity here at this point. And yeah, so let me go ahead and play that. I'm not sure how long this clip is, so I'm going to put it in the stream right now, and then I'll just go ahead and play it. But, I said the curriculums are changing. I know the West Coast has seen its own curriculum change as early as, the elementary schools have changed the curriculums. And yeah, if you have a principal that wants to tell you about some of these things, and you'll find out, or either you have to go to the school meeting, you'll have to go to the school board meeting. We've had that conversation here before, so I'm just going to go ahead and take you there. Is it Alien Believers is here? Hi, Alien Believers. I didn't see you. I didn't see you there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take you over to the business here. Okay. All right, so here we are.
I came home early from babysitting and see her coming out of some car in these tight-ass little shorts,
Whoa, okay.
talking fast, telling me she's about to leave me. I grab her by the neck and start punching her. She wanted to be all big and bad, trying to face me like a grown-ass woman. She gonna get beat like a grown woman. She started screaming, cursing at me, and carrying on. I threw her in the closet for a couple of days. She kept on screaming, begging to be let out, begging for water. Every time she made too much noise, I'd walk in and kick her.
Jazz wasn't even my boyfriend. This dude I did some hacking with once in a while. He was pretty basic library systems, low security. Not in my league at all, but he had a big and sometimes a girl just needs a big.
I tiptoed toward the door, peering through the window at the boy, his pants around his ankles, squeezed between April's straddled legs as she lay on top of the teacher's desk. I gripped his arms and flipped him around, pushing him against the wall. His eyes widened, mouth dropping. "Hey, what are you doing?" He chuckled nervously. I took a deep breath before dropping on my shaky knees, the ground cold.
Me and Monday, we did something. We did do something. He took a deep breath. She sucked my I really didn't want it to happen. It just kind of did. Her top lip curled up. Wait a minute, is that what's really going on? She did your homework and you ate her. Is that why you're crying? Because Monday's not around to do your homework no more.
I kept dancing, lost in the music, until some boy pushed me up behind me, holding my hips, and I froze. Looking to Megan for help, she nodded and mouthed, "It's okay, it's cool. This is what girls do at parties," I told myself, and kept dancing with the boy. I couldn't see, the alcohol making my waist wind faster.
I already heard a lot of the ladies from my group. They talked about f***ing, they talked about d***ing, they talked about flicking. By show of hands, does anyone up here want to talk about that stuff now? Not a single hand, because it's very uncomfortable and we're in a room full of adults. Nobody outside, nobody inside wants to talk about it because they're not acceptable topics. How did we get these unacceptable topics? Well, one, you didn't follow your procurement policies when you bought $1.8 million worth of these trash books. If you had followed your procurement policies, then you would have done a curriculum review where I hope and pray that at least the majority of you would have said, no, we can't read this trash to our kids. Your own code of conduct says that this is sexual harassment. We know it because all of us would be fired from our day jobs if we said this crap at work. This is the definition of a hostile work environment. My kids don't go to your crap schools, but theirs do, and they are filing these harassment suits on their behalf. Thank you for not doing your jobs.
All right, so for those of you that are just joining us, we were talking about, apparently that is a school district in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, and they had a little bit of suggestive reading for the ninth graders. I'm not sure how those, I would imagine that there is some form of committee that actually chooses the books for the kids. Yeah, I mean, I think it happens all the time, but I don't know who made those choices on those particular books, but yeah, so we'll finish. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I really didn't want to read all the bleeps in the middle, and because they were a little bit intense. But yeah, it was pretty much trash. Okay, pretty much trash books. And yeah, I don't think you would approve of that. So we're going to zoom out of that just a bit. So apparently, it says, what was the reaction when asked for reaction by Fox News? The Loudoun, or the county public schools, pointed to a news release published Wednesday where the district reminded, quote, parents that if they feel a book is not appropriate for their student, they may, quote, submit a formal request for the reconsideration of instructional materials. Isn't that convenient? One parent who did not want to be named told the outlet, quote, this is the same district that banned Dr. Seuss and Huckleberry Finn as being, quote, offensive, yet they are having children read pornography that violates every code of conduct in their sexual harassment training. So yeah, you know, a lot of the opposite things are going on right about now, right? So yeah, you get to read trash books, and but you know, but there, here again, I always talk about it being Groundhog's Day around here, because everything that's discussed in these agendas are basically you know, it's coming out now. So I don't know, you might get down to your school board if you are, you know, if you're not, I don't know, see what's going on, or at least check the curriculum, I guess, check the reading list. I don't know. It seems like I find that I'm often amazed that people say, oh, well, kids don't bring books home anymore from school. And I think I've seen that a couple of times just from other people's kids. Like, oh, you don't have a book? How does that work? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some things, you know, that are going on, some technology that I don't know about. But I'm just stunned that if they are not using textbook, but then they're reading this, they have this to fill in the gaps, right? All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me say hi to everybody that's come in. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. It is a Friday, and I am 11th hour here. I want to say hello to Awesome Alice. And Michelle's here. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Thanks so much for coming in. And Tyron Spain, TDOA, as well as Alex Bleeping Jones. Alien Believers is here. And let's see, Old School Wolf Media. Thank you so much for coming in. And I think I missed anybody else. TDOA. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we're going to move on to the next. I'm not going to say we're going to move on to the next bus stop. That's something that somebody else says, but you know, it's kind of old school talk, but it's all good. We're going to move on to the next segment. And before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of a break, and I'll be right back right after this. Thank you guys so much. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T., Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And all right, so we're going to go on to our next story here. And if you guys haven't had a chance to hit the like button, you will have an opportunity to do so before the close of the stream. So right now we're going to go to the Free Beacon, and there we have some bit of a pat on the back, or a nod, it looks like, from the Muslim Brotherhood, apparently. Hello to Anarchy Television. Sorry I missed you there. Okay. We're going to go to that, and then we have one more after this. All right. So we're going to get going here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on your Friday. All right. According to this, the Muslim Brotherhood praises Dems for abandoning Israel in time of war. Israel haters in Congress outraged Biden defended the Jewish state. All right. According to this, the Muslim Brotherhood's official online mouthpiece offered praise this week to Democratic members of Congress who are publicly criticizing Israel as it defends itself against an onslaught of terrorist rockets. Quote, Democratic representatives demand the protection of Palestinians from Zionist attacks, end quote, reads a headline in, forgive me, Ikhwan Online, the Brotherhood's official propaganda site. The jihadist extremist group, which is designated as a terror outfit in multiple countries, highlighted critical remarks about Israel's defensive operations made by outspoken opponents of the Jewish state. Reps Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Andre Carson, Debbie Dingell, Mark Pocan, and Cori Bush, as well as Senator Bernie Sanders. Usual suspects, right? Almost a complete squad there, right? But I've referred to Cori Bush as the fifth wheel, but I don't know where AOC is. She wasn't. I'm not sure she's co-signing this one. She's got bigger appearances to make or things to do. Here, quote, a large number from the American Democratic Party urged their government to try stopping the violence of the occupation forces against Palestinians in Jerusalem and the West Bank, end quote. The Arabic language article states, highlighting the support these liberal American lawmakers have among anti-Israel extremist groups in the region. The article was independently translated for the Washington Free Beacon. All the lawmakers mentioned above are widely known for their anti-Israel views and supporting a range of organizations that seek to boycott the Jewish state and promote anti-Semitic slurs about the country. Their criticism follows Israeli airstrikes directed at terrorist groups operating in the Gaza Strip. These groups, including Hamas, bombarded the country with more than 1,000 missiles in just more than 2 days. Israel says it will continue to conduct defensive operations until Hamas and other Palestinian terror groups that are funded by Iran stop their attacks. Omar Tlaib and Pocan, who are among the most outspoken anti-Israel members of Congress, harshly criticized Israel for protecting its citizens from missile attacks. Quote, Israeli airstrikes killing civilians in Gaza is an act of terrorism, end quote, Omar said in a statement that ignored Hamas's repeated strikes. Quote, Palestinians deserve protection. Unlike Israel, missile defense programs such as Iron Dome don't exist to protect Palestinian civilians. It's unconscionable to not condemn these attacks, end quote. Omar comments led Senator Ted Cruz, a staunch Israel ally, to accuse her of acting as Hamas's press secretary. Quote, American taxpayer money is being used to commit human rights violations, end quote, Tlaib said in a similar statement. Quote, Congress must condition the aid we send to Israel and end it altogether if those conditions are not followed, end quote. Ocasio-Cortez, here she is, joined with her fellow, quote, squad members, end quote, to blast Israel for, quote, inciting violence, end quote. Pocan rushed to defend Omar after she came under fire for several anti-Israel comments. Quote, I'm seeing a lot of right-wing extremists criticize my wonderful colleague Omar because she rightly condemned the murder of Palestinian children and Israel's voice against Palestinians. And Sheikh Jahar at Al-Ask. I'm doing a butcher job here, but you picking up what I'm putting down, or you can do your own diligence. I did the same. Wonder why they're not criticizing me, he asked on Twitter. Tlaib and Omar also publicly broke with the administration on Wednesday after President Joe Biden publicly defended Israel and backed its defensive operations. Biden and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who also has said Israel has the right to defend itself against terrorists, could be, quote, having trouble finding the courage to speak up against Israel's actions and stop supporting this inhumane violence, end quote, Tlaib tweeted. Quote, no mention of the Al-Aqsa raid, no mention of the 13 innocent children killed in airstrikes, end quote, Omar tweeted after the White House issued a statement on the situation. Quote, no mention of the ongoing occupation of millions in an open air prison, you aren't prioritizing human rights. You're siding with an oppressive occupation, end quote. Okay, so, just a little bit on that, which is what I consider a developing story. And let's see, has anybody else joined us since then? I read a comment here from Awesome Alice says, it's time to just move to the woods and ignore the world. Yeah, we'll see what that we'll see what that looks like. And thank you so much, Anarchy Television. Awesome Alice says that just proves she would hurt the Jews in America if they could get away with it. Wow. That is pretty telling, right? But, I think they made a statement, a long time ago. I think was there a visit? I think there was a visit that they made. Yeah, but we'll see what happens there. We'll see how long it takes for some real development on this side. All right, so we're going to keep going here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't had an opportunity to hit the like button, you will have an opportunity to do so before we close the stream. And Awesome Alice says, what it looks like heaven, Autumn, need a bunker too. Yeah, that sounds about right. A bunker would be, I guess, a little bit bigger than a shelter, I guess. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. Don't do it. All right, so I'm going to be right back. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, thank you guys so much again for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And we're going to go on to, it's kind of like we're doing a follow-up just about every night almost on the Maricopa situation. So this is going to be our final installment on your Friday night. And hello to Luciano. Thank you so much for coming in, Luciano. I really appreciate it. We're going to go there right now. Thank you guys so much for coming in on my sporadic schedule around here. You guys are always very patient with me. I really appreciate it. And we're going to be taking this story, this liner from our friends over at the JBS. And before I do that, just have a word from our friends. This segment of our show is brought to you by our good friends at the John Birch Society. Less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. The JBS is a constitutional and educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. The JBS does not endorse any political party or candidates. Rather, it focuses on the education, training, and development of the American voters. All right, guys. So what you have on the screen this time around, and hello to the TR show. TR show. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Nice to see you. And Callie Unknown, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And hello to my friends over on Twitch at this hour. All right, so we're gonna go here. All right, so we've kind of followed a little bit on the Maricopa situation. We've seen everything from Biden's DOJ, threatening them under the, I guess, under the premise or under the auspices, shall I say, of the 1964 civil rights in terms of securing, the data and whatnot, and whose possession the data is in from the November elections and that kind of business. So it's kind of bringing us up to the present right now, I guess. And then yesterday we stumbled onto something else, but here's another one where we have the feds caught deleting data to make it appear that, quote, climate change causes wildfires. So here again, it's getting a little bit sticky with our institutions. I mean, this just, I mean, I've got a laundry list of things where there's all these, like, all of our institutions just seem to be pretty compromised. I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy. Maybe they've been compromised all the time. I don't know. It's just illusions, All right, so I'm going to go into this one. This is our final installment on this segment, and this one's written by, at least it's penned according to this, by Michael Tennant. All right, so because you guys know that the climate change is the next crisis, right? And in fact, our friends at the We Forum have been telling us that for several months. In fact, we were warned. We had Greta Thunberg talking about it for the last at least 2 years, along with her little Skip School Friday events that she did about a year and a half ago. However, we'll go on here. A federal agency has been caught tampering with historical wildfire data in an obvious effort to make wildfire prevalence and severity appear to be correlated with the alleged global warming. Created in 1965, the National Interagency Fire Center, the NIFC, maintains statistics on annual wildfire counts and the number of acres burned in those fires. Until recently, the NIFC posted on its website wildfire statistics for every year since 1926, as evidenced by this Internet Archive screen capture. However, the agency now only posts statistics from 1983 to the present. Why, they say? Quote, the answer, in quote, asserts climate realist Anthony Watts, quote, is simple. Data prior to 1983 shows that the U.S. wildfires were far worse, both in frequency and total acreage burned. By disappearing all data prior to 1983, which just happens to be the lowest point in the data set, now all of a sudden we get a positive slope of worsening wildfire aligning with increased global temperature, which is perfect for claiming, quote, climate change is making wildfires worse. I guess that's the information war, I guess, that we're dealing with. I'll keep going. Sorry for the digression there. To prove his point, Watts created graphs from the original data and now scrubbed data. The graph of the complete data set shows that from 1920s to the early 1980s, there were far more wildfires covering far more acreage than there have been since. The graph of the current NIFC data set, on the other hand, suggests an increase in both statistics over time. Another graph generated by Watts sheds further light on the complete data set. The worst of the wildfires occurred during the 1930 through 1941, quote, Dust Bowl, in quote, era, and again during the 1976 through 1978 drought in the West. Meanwhile, the 1982 through 1983 saw a, quote, super El Nino, in quote, that soaked the Western states, causing 1983 to have the fewest and least destructive wildfires on record. After that, wildfire and acreage counts naturally increased, but thus far they have seldom approached most of the pre-1983 counts and have been far below the counts from the peak years of that era. Watts traces the history of the NIFC's public statements on the pre-1983 data and finds a curious pattern. Since Watt's publicization of the data's death blow to the claim that, quote, global warming causes wildfires, the NIFC has cast increasing doubt on the reliability of older data to the point that it now claims said data is so bad it cannot be posted publicly. When the NIFC in 2011 initially posted the wildfire data on its website, it added this relatively benign caveat, quote, figures prior to 1983 may be revised as the NICC verifies historical data. In December 2017, Watts republished an article citing that the NIFC data as part of its jurisdiction for doubting that, quote, climate change was the cause of wildfires in California. By the following March, the NIFC had become considerably less confident that its pre-1983 data was accurate, replacing the previous caveat with, quote, the NIFC compiles annual wildfire data statistics for federal and state agencies. This information is provided through situation reports, which have been in use for several decades. Prior to 1983, sources of these figures are not known or cannot be confirmed and were not derived from the current situation reporting process. As a result, the figures prior to 1983 should not be compared to later data. So there's your ticker right there. Today, the NIFC only posts data from 1983 and later saying, quote, prior to 1983, the wildland fire agencies did not track official wildfire data using current reporting processes. As a result, there is no official data prior to 1983 posted on this site, end quote. Watts isn't buying it. The deleted data, he observes, quote, has been trusted for decades in almost every news story about any wildfire that ever occurred in the U.S., end quote. Quote, NIFC is essentially labeling every firefighter, every fire captain, every forester, and every smoke jumper who has fought wildfires for decades as being untrustworthy in their assessment and measurement of this critical yet very simple fire data, end quote, he declares. Why would the agency do this? Watt's conclusion is fairly inescapable. Quote, it seems to me that the NIFC very likely caved to pressure from climate activists to disappear this inconvenient data by erasing the past. Imagine that. By erasing the past data, the NIFC has become untrustworthy. This erasure is not just unscientific, it's dishonest and possibly fraudulent, end quote. So to me, this is just kind of feeding into this whole, to me, the Green New Deal. And I think the funding that they're going to throw behind it, which to me is going to be, the financial, the debt's going to swell, and they're going to use that to smokescreen everything. They're even using that for the border crisis right now, saying, oh, well, why this is happening at the border now. It's because of climate change. And, never mind that, the previous administration didn't sign the migration compact. So we'll just make it up as we go along and tell you we got the answer for everything that's going on. So, yeah. So who knows? I think the summer is going to be more than unforgettable. You're going to have everything. I think California will probably be smokier than usual. Just a little bit conveniently smokier than usual. Other part, I'll say that even the Northwest coast, same thing. Yeah, because I remember them trying to pull something similar to that last year. Like it was a place, I can't remember where it was, that there was an unlikely place in which they were saying, oh yeah, the fires are jumping over states now. They're jumping 2 or 3 states. And I tell you. All right, guys, I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in on your Friday and you guys choosing to burn some of your Friday minutes with me here on Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And let me read some comments here. Cali Unknown 007. Every 12 years, the world is going to end due to climate change. Yeah, it's like we got a boogeyman everywhere, right? We're going to be in a boogie world. The boogie world we're living in. Awesome Alice's, as the dirty laundry fill the basket cases are running the asylum. See, Awesome Alice is I'm trying to think. Marcy T. Is Marcy T around? You guys make me laugh around here. And Awesome Alice says they don't maintain the woods and the brush because wildfires, they've gotten lazy is what happened. Well, I think somebody prepared what was it? I think when Trump visited California, was it like 2 summers ago? And I think they went into, or maybe it was just 1 summer ago that they did a report and everything. And I think he brought out he mentioned the same thing, or that his reports, I guess somebody surveyed the damage and just surveyed, I guess, dare I say, the forest floors to see the conditions. And it was, and the power outages and all of, scheduled power outages. It's just all a little convenient, right? Yeah. So yeah, I don't have any thrills for you guys, or I don't have any Mayor's mowing on Shake Shack tonight. I don't. Sorry to disappoint you. Nor do I have any 100 calorie packs for you guys hitting the like button or showing your Twitch card or following over there. Joseph Francis Burton is here. He says the fact that wildfires were much more frequent in the 1920s through the 30s is common knowledge to anybody in the logging industry. Awesome Alice says controlled burns will prevent buildup. Awesome Alice says the Green New Deal isn't about the environment. It's about reappropriating funds. And Joseph Francis Burton is offering clarification here. Thank you, sir. He says the data is not erased. The raw environmental data is freely available online if you know where to look. However, the data is presented in a manner that is misleading. See, we're glad to have you around, Joseph Francis Burton. Yeah, see, look, Awesome Alice says, yeah, jumping fires, yeah, and people are just looking, they're just telling you this stuff with such earnest, and just like, okay, I just kind of move on to the next thing because I don't even want to try to stir them out of the mess. All right, and Joseph Francis Burton is responding to someone else's question. And I've said this before. I wish they had a feature on here that would allow you guys to do, interpersonal, kinds of conversations. Because I have a tendency to read your guys's, comments because that's my collaborative. I consider that kind of a collaborative duty every now and then. Most of the time, pretty regularly, not every now and then, pretty regularly. Cali Unknown 007 says, lol, yep, bye, Felicia. There you go. So yeah, so this is pretty much, I just kind of wanted to get into some things that were going on, but there's a laundry list of what dare I say, of exposés, even the PPE loan. There seems to be there's a whole database for that where you can see what that looks like per state. I think it's kind of intense, right? So I find it interesting, some of the businesses that are listed, and then some of the restaurants couldn't get any funding, but all of a sudden the state of California has some kind of, they're touting some kind of surplus. All of a sudden there's always a surplus. I guess what was Newsom saving the surplus to kind of bail him out of the recall? I have no idea how that's going to turn out. I really don't. And Awesome Alice says wildfires are caused by cigarette butts being left on the land, campfires that have been left unmonitored, as well as intentional acts of arson. 90% of the wildfires in the U.S. are caused by people. Yes, I think last summer, they ended up busting some people for starting these things. And I think they did, but will they let that get out? Probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really quick little break here, and I'll be right back to say salud to everyone. And I'll get you guys out of here on your Friday, a decent hour. right, guys. Once again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn on your Friday. It is, and yeah. So I want to say hello to everybody in the stream. Oh gosh, and how could I not read a fun fact from Awesome Alice? Awesome Alice says about wildfires, the real one getting woods all fired up is the people in the woods. All right, Awesome Alice. You keep it going there. All right, so I just want to say hi to everybody that's in the stream so that I make sure I don't miss anybody that came in. So thank you so much, Old School Wolf, for coming in. Old School Wolf Media, really appreciate it. It's nice to see you. Tyrant Spain TDOA, thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Awesome Alice, thank you so much for being here and keeping us on our toes. Alien Believers, thank you for coming in. Alex Bleeping Jones, I really appreciate it, as well as Alien Believers. I think I got you already. If I'm doing a double take, then I'm trying not to wear my glasses right now. All right, and let's see who else do it. Joseph Francis Burton, thank you so much for supporting the channel and everything that you do around here, keeping us informed. And let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Michelle is here. Thank you, Michelle, for coming in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, because I always say, you guys have choices around here. You could have chosen any network for your bun and lettuce, but you chose me, and I'm, it makes me smile. So I really appreciate it. And you guys have a great rest of the weekend. If I think there was something like on election integrity that I may have. I don't know. I'll see if I have it. If I have it, I'll put it up for you. But in the meantime, Luciano, thank you, Luciano, for coming in. I really appreciate it. Anarchy Television, you guys are always sneaking in, and the TR show. So I was about to miss a whole host of people here, and that's not good. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And Glasses Kingdom, the Chrysler Imperial Age. Hi, Chrysler. It's been a lifetime. It's nice to see you. I really appreciate it. And it looks like we have Cali Unknown 007. So looks like we are picking up some traction over on Twitch. So if you haven't had a chance to go over and see what that's about, you will be well received when you do. Thank you guys so much. And we're going to get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your Friday/Saturday. And if I have any of that hearing to post, I will do that without a doubt. And thank you for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.